Now, you action figure enthusiasts out there, JC here with another T&I toy review. And today's review is in association with JediInsider.com, your #1 news source for everything Star Wars. And for today's review, I'm going to be taking a look at the brand new Black Series 6-inch Dengar figure from Hasbro. Now, this figure comes packaged in the same style that we see with all the Black Series figures. You've got the black box up at the top, you've got the Black Series logo, then you've got the figure clearly displayed in the window box. Down below, you've got the name of the character and an image. On the side, you have the red border, and it tells us this is figure number 74 in the series. And then on the back of the packaging, you again have an image of the character, and then a brief bio in multiple languages. All right, let's get this open and take a look at what's inside. Okay, so here's a look at the figure outside the packaging along with the other content. So you get a number of different accessories with this figure. So first of all, we get this rifle, and we've seen this before in the Black Series line. I believe this is the same rifle that came with some of the Imperial Desert Troopers. But as it is, instead of being a solid black color, it's more of a gun gray type plastic, and you've got the little stand here, but it's not articulated. It's attached to the actual rifle, and it's all one piece, and it's a fairly solid plastic. And you got some detailing up here around the barrel. Some looks like little holes are sculpted on it. It's not actual holes, but it looks like that's what it's supposed to be. And again, we have seen this rifle before in the Black Series. Dengar also comes with a blaster, and even though we don't see him use a blaster in the actual movie, I assume this is probably accurate. They probably use concept art or something to base this off of. It's not a weapon that we've seen in the Black Series before, so it's not like they just gave him someone else's weapon. And so it seems rather unique. You've got the scope, and then you've got, it gets a little wider here at the end of the barrel, and you've got some sculpting detail on the handle and on the magazine there with some line work. So overall, I think it's pretty nice detailing. It's done with a black plastic, and it's a somewhat rubbery type plastic, so it might come out of the packaging a little bit warped, the barrel at least. Mine came out pretty straight, but again, it's a soft enough plastic that I could see it being warped in the packaging. Dengar also has a working gun holster, so you can stick the gun in there and you want to kind of push it down. The barrel is a little bit long, so it'll stick out the bottom there, but it does fit nice and tight on the figure. Dengar also has 2 grip hands, so he can hold both weapons at the same time if you wanted to. Now, he doesn't really have a trigger finger on the left hand, so you just kind of have to stick it in there. He does have a trigger finger on the right hand, but the finger doesn't actually reach to the trigger guard there on the rifle, so you know, you just probably want to stick it in there. But again, that I can't really get that finger to reach the actual trigger guard with this one. With the blaster, it probably works a little bit better. Yeah, you can get him to actually hold the blaster with the trigger finger sticking in that guard there, but with the rifle, it's too wide. The final accessory that Dengar comes with is a backpack that is removable, and it's done with a solid plastic, so it does have a decent weight to it. It actually makes the figure a little bit top heavy, so just be wary of that. You've got this little peg here, and so he's got this hole here on the back, and you just plug it in. And as best I can tell, there's not really any place. I mean, you can kind of have the straps go around his side if you want to, but I don't think that looks as good. And there's not really a place to stick those, so I just kind of tuck it in here underneath the backpack. I think that's the best look for the figure. Okay, so for the figure itself, I think Hasbro's done a pretty solid job with the sculpting and paint applications. The only area where I think the paint is maybe a little bit off is with the skin tone on his face. I think it's maybe a little too orangey looking, but otherwise I think it's a pretty solid job. I like the wrappings. This little thing, it looks like he's got these mummy wrappings. I always used to call him Mummy Man as a kid before I knew his official name. This is actually a separate piece on the figure. It's not removable, but it is an actual separate piece. You can kind of pull away from the face, and I think it's glued on the forehead up there, but again, it is actually a separate piece. And then you've got the scars. He's got all these scars on his face. Looks like he's been in a bad car accident or something. I don't remember what the backstory is with Dengar. He was always like the least menacing looking bounty hunter of the group. You know, this guy looks like he couldn't catch anything, which probably means he's probably the most badass bounty hunter in the world. But as it is, you know, I always thought he was pretty unmenacing looking. And then he's got this armor plating that he's wearing, and this upper piece is actually a separate piece done with a rubber type plastic. Again, it's not removable, but on the front here, it is actually a separate piece, and it's done with that dark brown color, almost a bronze type color, so it does look like it's kind of like metal. You know, I don't know if this is something he stole off a stormtrooper or something. And he's got these scratch marks with the silver on the front here, so you've got that more wear and tear look on it. And then on the back, that's where the backpack would be. So you've got the straps that come around, but then there's really not a whole lot of detail on the back there, just some wrinkles on his shirt and everything. You got the hole where you stick the backpack. He's got this belt piece, which is a separate piece done with a rubber material. Again, not removable, but it is a separate piece. You've got the pouches on each side, and then you've got the gun holster attached to this one pouch. So that looks pretty good. You've got some metallic silver here on the buckle, and get more scratch marks there at the crotch section. And then he's got underneath that, you've got a cream color outfit that matches the wrappings on his head. And he's got a little bit lighter cream here on his gloves. And again, you've got the dark armor pieces that are sculpted on the arms and the legs and the shin guards, and you got some gray straps here on the bottom here. And then with the feet, it actually looks like he's wearing bedroom slippers. I've never really looked at his feet before, but that's definitely on this figure what they look like. I assume that's movie accurate, but I think it's kind of funny that it looks like he's wearing bedroom slippers. Okay, so Dengar here stands just a little bit over 6 inches tall, not quite 6 1/4 inches. Okay, and here's a comparison of Dengar along with his fellow bounty hunters. Mine is Zuckuss. Now, if you caught my news video yesterday, you know those of us here in the United States will be able to get our hands on Zuckuss finally as a Disney Store exclusive starting in November. Those of you who live in Canada have already been able to get that figure as a Toys R Us exclusive. But again, for those of us here in the US, we'll be able to get Zuckuss as a Disney Store exclusive. But as it is, I would say with these guys, the scale is pretty good. Also, I had forgotten that Forlam here uses the same blaster rifle as the one that came with Dengar. So they have identical weapons in that regard. I don't remember 100% if that's accurate to the movie, being they only appeared in the movie for like 2 seconds. But I think it works well with them. And again, I think the scale between these guys all look pretty good. So for articulation on the figure, you can turn the head to the left and to the right. He's got a little bit of up and down movement with the head, but not a whole lot. And really not much in the way of pivot either. And then with the arms, you can get the arm out pretty good, and you can rotate the arm there at the shoulder. He has a single hinged elbow, so he can still actually bend his elbow pretty good even with only the single hinge. And then he's got a rotation there at the elbow. He's got a rotation with the hands, and he's got hinges on the hands, so you've got up and down movement there. And then he's got a midsection joint, so you get rotation there, but because of the armor pieces, you don't really get any ab crunch, and he can only look back a little bit. I don't really expect this guy is a fast mover. He doesn't look like somebody who's really, that agile. With the legs, he can do the splits about that much, and you do not have a waist swivel. You just get the rotation at the midsection. He can get his leg forward pretty good, and he can do his leg out and back. He does have a thigh swivel. He's got a double jointed knee, so good bending there at the knee. And then with the feet, he's got hinges, so up and down movement. And then he does have ankle pivot and 2 peg holes on the bottom of the feet. That's my review. So overall, I like this figure. I like the overall look of it. I think the paint applications are good. The skin tone is maybe a hair off, but nothing too major. My only real complaint comes that he is definitely a pain in the butt to keep standing when you have the backpack on. He's definitely top heavy, so just be wary of that. But I think he'll definitely fit in nicely with your other bounty hunters. And if you're a fan of the bounty hunters from the Star Wars movies, this is one you'll definitely want to get. Now, this figure has started to ship from Big Bad Toy Store. That's where I got mine. I'll put a link to it in the video description below. We'll have a full image gallery up at Jedi Insider. Please leave a comment. Let me know what you think. If you're so inclined, please like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Also, you can follow me on my Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram accounts. I have links to all those in the video description as well. And until next time, guys, I'll catch you later.